Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Micah, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is my hobby YouTube channel, and over here I really like to chat about makeup as well as a little bit of fashion that I like to sprinkle into the mix as well. But today we are doing a grand old makeup related video because I have a new 10 palette review for you. In case you've been watching my channel, then you know that these reviews never just include 10 palettes, but that I tend to mainly go over 10 brands that I've tried several eyeshadow palettes from, and that's the case again today as well. From some of these brands I only have one palette, but sometimes I have more than one, and since we're sort of fighting daylight, and if I look a little shiny, I just got home from work. So that's what's going on in today's video, so let's just get started. So in case you're new here and you don't really know what this channel is all about and how I like to do these videos, then please be noted that I will be inserting swatches as well as several pictures of looks that I've done with all of these palettes. I like to try every single shadow in a given palette before I feel comfortable reviewing it in any way, shape, or form. And that's what definitely goes for all of these palettes here. I've used every single shade, and I tend to do as many looks as it takes to be able to use all of those shades as well. So that's why it usually takes me a bit longer to review things. That's why these aren't like the hottest and newest of the new. However, because I had planned to review certain things already this month, I decided to rope in some newer things as well, just to make sure you get some more of a lowdown. So these may not be the newest releases, and actually the first one I have for you is discontinued already. But I hope that this can still give you an idea of what's out there, what quality eyeshadow these brands have, because these brands also do other eyeshadows, of course. So I'm pretty sure that that can still be informative for you. And yeah, that's just what I like to do when I do these videos. So let's get cracking because I've got lots to share with you. The first palette that I tried for this review is the Club Nebula from Kaleidos, which is the collab they did with Angelica Nykvist, in case you didn't know. And this is a great palette. So many people have been raving about it, but this is not coming back. It was restocked in April and that was it. I already bought this in January, but I had so much left over from 2020 that I didn't get around to trying any of my new 2021 stuff until like over the summertime. I'm not sure when is the last time I did a video like this. I think in July. So I started trying this in July really. So these are all palettes that I've tried in like the past 2 to 3 months. And that's how often I tend to do these videos. So yeah, this was already discontinued by the time I even stuck a brush into this thing. And I have to say, I get what everybody's raving about. You get some jewel tones in here, you get a row of like greeny blues, some neutrally mauve things, and then a warm toned row with some corals and some reds. It's a stunning palette. This shade in the middle pulls the entire palette together for me. And of course, these two rows are definitely where it's at for me. It is the lovely Kaleidos quality that I know and adore from their smaller 5-pan palettes, but I had never tried one of their 15 pans. And I do like the size of this. However, I wish that this would have been like 3 palettes. Is that too much to ask? I think it would have been lovely if these could have been like 3 of their 5 pans, but I'm not sure what their current status is on the 5-pan palettes that they're doing. I'm really not sure, but I have to say that I was really taken with the way these performed. I already tried Kaleidos eyeshadows in the past and I always felt their mattes weren't the best, but I feel that in this palette we do get a different quality matte, which is lovely. I could have done with some more shimmers that are true actual shimmers. I feel that a lot of these are quite textured and flaky, and we do get a lot of mattes, which is what Angelica likes, but not necessarily my cup of tea. So I would have liked some more shimmers in here so I could get some more versatility out of the palette. However, for me, there is a shimmer in every row that I can use to feature and make it like the main part of a look, because that's how I like to use shimmers anyways. So for me, this was a very stunning palette. It's a more unique color story as well compared to other things that are on the market, which is another thing I appreciate about this. And it's got stellar quality. But you can no longer buy it, so I'm gonna move on. Another winter purchase, but that I didn't get to try until the summertime, and it actually worked out really well, is the e.l.f. Retro Paradise. This was released in the US in the summer of 2020, but we didn't get it here until February, really. It didn't really come our way that quickly, and so I kind of held on to it. and then I started trying it and it's really lovely. I kind of did a look with the top row here, these 6 colorful shades in this corner, and then these 6 neutrals in that corner. And I feel that this is a bit more warm toned. This is also quite warm toned, but a little bit more neutral leaning, I feel. And then you just have these vibrant colors. I mean, it's got a teal. So in case you don't know anything about me yet, hi, my name is Micah. My 2 favorite eyeshadow shades are taupes and teals. If it's got a teal, I'm gonna love it. And it's got a really stunning duochrome in Paraiso, so it's got a lot more going for it. Do I like this more than my Earth and Ocean? Because that's a palette I keep raving about. I would say no, because the Earth and Ocean I feel is a little bit more wearable, a little bit more perfect for every day. This to me could have done with some more true neutrals for my skin tone, because a lot of the neutrals in here are very warm and the colorful shades are quite cool. And then I'm like, I don't really see how I'm going to put the peach with any of these colorful shades. You know what I mean? So for me, it wasn't perfect, but I had a lot of fun playing around with it, and you get some stunning shades in here. I'm definitely going to keep this around for a little bit longer, play around with it some more, but I don't think this palette is going to stand the test of time in my personal makeup collection, because I feel the neutral shades just aren't necessarily my vibe, but it is a pretty palette. Let's talk Catrice, and I tried a lot of Catrice in this past round because Catrice came out with some new stuff. I think I bought this in May. They came out with a new Clean ID limited edition, and as part of that line they did a mineral eyeshadow palette. This was horrible. It also smells horrible. This was very light, very powdery. It dusted away into nothing. It just kind of disappeared really quickly. I mean, even if you were to still be able to get it, I would say stay away, because it's not a good one. What is much better though, and these I already have videos up with, so I'm not going to be inserting swatches and looks with these because I already did that in 2 separate videos. In August, I posted the Pro Slim review, so I reviewed all 6 palettes in one video, and since this was already out and I was able to get my hands on it, I was able to include the new Natural Spirit in that video as well, which is what it looks like. I'll make sure to link that video down below in case you'd like to see it. And then not too long ago, I actually did a review on all 6 of the 5 in a box palettes, because again, Catrice released 2 new shades, Vivid Burgundy Look and Blue Smoky Look. And these are lovely palettes as well, but I put them up against the other 4 that were already released in that video, which again, I will make sure to link down below. Moving on then to some things I bought earlier in the year and I didn't get to try them until the summer, and another purchase I was super happy that I kept around, lying around for the summertime. Naked Wild West by Urban Decay. I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea to release this in the springtime. This should have been the Naked Cyber. Like, if they had swapped around those releases, I think it would have worked better, because the Cyber to me is a little bit more springy. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm not entirely sure, but I think that palette is just overall lighter and a little bit more like that ethereal sort of spring-like thing, whereas this is a bit more grounded, a bit more earthy toned. You get those blues, which are really perfect for like that more like aqua vibe. It's got cool tones, it's got warm tones, so it's got the best of both worlds for me. And I really feel that I could mix and match these, but I can also do an all cool toned look. I can do an all like tealy look. It's great. However, is this unique to my personal makeup collection? No. If you already own the Dream Street from Colourpop and Kathleen Lights, you have this color story. I feel they're very similar. Are they 100% identical? No. I feel that the Dream Street skews a little bit more warm toned. I appreciate that you get this gray, and especially this transition is perfect on my skin. And I thought the quality of this was really nice as well, but for me, it's more of a right now, like late summer, early autumn kind of vibe in terms of its color story, and not necessarily something that I would want to purchase and put on my face early spring, which is when this launched. Another early spring purchase, Odin's Eye, the Norns. And Odin's Eye has been releasing quite a lot of things this year. They came out with the Norns collection at the start of the year. They've done that Freya new collection over the spring, like early summertime, and now they have that collab up with 3 different influencers. So they've been releasing quite a lot, and I personally, I'm not a huge fan of brands that release a lot of things. So I hope they slow down a little bit. But this Norns palette was absolutely stunning. I fell in love with it when I was using it. It looks like you get some warmth over here and also with this brown. But I found as I was putting stuff on my fair skin that everything leaned more cool tone to neutral, at least on me. Maybe if you have a warm undertone, things in here may skew a little bit differently. But for me, it worked wonders. Again with the teal, you know how I feel about that. Even this reddish shade pulled a little bit more pink on me, which I really appreciated. You get some really interesting shimmer shades in here. I was afraid that the shades in the bottom were glitters when I first got it, but then I used them on the eye and they are magical. They are just really stunning, really magical shades that really elevate your look and that really can make, like, you know, pull your look into another vibe, you could say. You get some like mauvey, plummy tones in here, like especially this corner. That has my name written all over it. And then you just get those teals with a little bit of green and like this bluey purple and a blurple. Like you get so many stunning shades. This green is really interesting as well. So this is a palette that even though you get 16 shades, you can pull this into so many different directions because you can do something really simple and neutral, but then you could do a full green eye. You can do a like more plummy eye. You can make it a bit more reddish toned. Like there's so many options in this palette, and that's one thing that I really appreciated. The quality was stunning. The mattes blended so easily. The shimmers were stunning and barely needed any work for them to show up. I'm really happy I got this. And it's making me want to try some more Odin's eye palettes. However, none of the color stories they've come up with in like their recent collections have really appealed to me. So I hope they come out with some other things that do spark my interest. A palette I hadn't yet reviewed, but that I did already review, like I reviewed other palettes that I bought in the same order. But that's the Menagerie order that I placed, I think, at the end of February. When they launched their Flight Club palette, they opened international shipping for like a hot minute. And I snatched up the things that were still on my wish list like straight away. And so I bought myself some more Menagerie palettes because I loved the two I already had. And something that had been on my wish list for more than a year was their Whale Song palette. This is a blue-green palette. And sadly, this wasn't perfect. It wasn't as perfect as I'd hoped. My favorite blue-green palette is still the Ace Beauty Oceanic because I feel it has a wider range of blues and greens that go with my skin tone. This I think will be really pretty if you have medium olive to deep skin. On me, I have fair skin, I've got a cool undertone. A lot of the greens were too warm. And a lot of the shades, for instance, these two shades look very different in the pan, but then on me, they looked the same as you will see in some of the pictures. I really struggled getting very distinct looks out of this if I just stuck to just the blues and just the greens. So maybe I need to mix and match a little bit more. I have to say though, the 4 shimmers you get in here, those are stunning. Like this shade over here is absolutely bonkers. I wish though I got one more shimmer. Looking at this now, like one more shimmer would have been perfect for me. Another spring purchase that I tried are my 2 little Viseart editions. I fell in love hard with Viseart at the end of 2020, and I sort of capitalized on it when I saw a deal on Beauty Bay, and I bought 2 little palettes. I think it was March time. I bought the Dark Edit because Angelica Newquist keeps raving about it being a great jewel tone palette. And I didn't fall in love with this. I wanted to love this really, really badly, but for me, some of these shades, especially the mattes, just didn't blend that well. Like I just had trouble working with this. Again, I really appreciate that it goes quite deep, but you don't get a black. This is a dark navy, which I really like. And there were shades in here that I liked, but there were also shades in here that I was like, not too sure. So it's got interesting shades, but I'm not sure I'm gonna keep around this palette for a long time. Maybe I'll pop some of these out because that's something that's brilliant. Even these little Viseart palettes, you can actually take out the shades. So maybe I'm gonna rearrange some Viseart palettes at some point, but I'm not sure yet. But I think that, for instance, some of these greens I could put in my Petite Pro 3 to make that more green toned. Maybe I can put some of these other shades in like the Midsommar because that's a bit bland. So maybe I can use these shades to make some of my other Viseart palettes a bit more interesting. So maybe that's how I'm going to use this, as a companion palette rather than a standalone. I think it's better for that purpose. And another palette that is better as a companion palette, and that's how I bought it and intended it, is the Petite for Lilas. I saw this and I was like, that's a cool tone color story that I really like. Like, this is perfect for my fair skin for sure. It's got a stunning taupe shimmer. This lighter shade is really pretty too. And then you just get two really perfect transition shades for someone with my fair skin. I figured I could pull this in with the Midsommar if I want to make it less mauvey and more taupey, and I also felt I could pull this in if I want to use my Violette Étendue, which is my favorite purple palette, if I want to tone that in terms of purpliness, and again I want to make that a bit more neutral. So these are also bigger shades, so these could go into the Violette Étendue, whereas these ones can work really well with the Petite Pros that they do as well. So I can maybe at some point rearrange these, but for now I'm going to keep it as is. And then one thing I bought in April was some Alien Cosmetics. And Alien Cosmetics is a brand that's been getting more and more hype. Some of their new palettes I've seen a lot of people review quite quickly. And I think I spotted these on Nikki Raven's channel and I was like, these sound like things that I might like. So I bought two. They restocked the Serendipity palette for the last time when I bought it. And this is the Fairy Frolic, which now comes in different packaging and has square pans. So you can no longer buy these palettes the way I have them, but this one is still available, but this one was limited edition. So this is the Serendipity collab they did, and this is the one that really sparked my interest. Even though it looks quite warm toned, this again really impressed me. It's got some stunning greens. The shimmer in the middle is life. This red feels really dry when you stick your finger in, but I felt it gave me no issues blending it out and doing all that. And you get some interesting duochrome shimmers in here. I was really impressed with the quality of this, and so I was really happy to have tried it. And now that I've tried Alien Cosmetics, that Lore palette that they do, that's calling my name. The Lore and that Strawberry Milkshake palette. Those two I would still like to own, maybe someday. And then this is what the Fairy Frolic looks like. This I feel is a bit more wearable than the Serendipity palette. That one has a couple of brighter options, whereas this has all the sort of like murky, foresty kind of shades. This mauve, oh. And then this looks like a brown, but it actually has a plum undertone. So with this, I was able to do like a really stunning like plummy look and a green look with this stunning like goldy shade. Like, again, it's got really good quality shadows, an interesting color story, and that's currently what I'm really looking for. I've got a lot of basic palettes, and then for an indie brand to do something that's so out there but still very wearable, I find is really awesome, because it takes a lot to wow me by now, and these did really impress me. Alien Cosmetics is definitely a brand. If you like your indie shadows, definitely check them out. They are a little bit more expensive to shop from if you're in Europe, because they are based in the US, but if you bear in mind all the custom fees and all that, I feel they are still worth it. Moving on a little further down the line into spring, I actually got some of the new Huda Beauty stuff, and that's where I'm bringing in one of the newest Huda Beauty things, because I also picked up her Wild Obsessions Jaguar palette when I was shopping in Paris in August, so this is one of the newest things I bought. So the Chocolate Brown by Huda Beauty was the only one from that brown collection she did that really sparked my interest, and you might wonder why, because you may know that I don't love warm tones, but I looked at this and I was like, huh, I quite like this, because save for this like orangey shade, do you just see that these browns are quite neutral? So I thought that was really interesting. You get some browns with like a reddish undertone, and berry toned, like reddish toned shades, those do work on me. So I felt I was able to make everything work in here. I was able to create a perfectly fine look with this. Is this revolutionary? Did I really need this in my collection? No, and I actually think I now own a palette with a similar color story that I may like a bit better, which is coming up in a minute. But yeah, this was lovely. I really liked it. And then the Wild Obsessions Jaguar palette, as I mentioned, I got this in August, and the minute I saw this color story, I was like, that's got my name written all over it. The only thing I don't like in here is the yellow tone gold. I'm not a huge fan of that, but other than that, this was lovely. It's a cool tone color story, but it's not too gray and it's not too smoky, but you do have the option to go gray or smoky if you'd like to, if that makes sense. This shade has like a greenish undertone, which I love. This is like a silvery taupe, which I love. You get a stunning grayish taupey transition-y shade. This like rose goldy plummy shade is lovely. You do get a black and a cream. Like these again, I probably would have picked something differently. If this would have been a really deep brown, like a cool tone brown, I would have liked it a lot better. But yeah, it's not perfect, but I do really like the shade selection, and I think it's more unique than the chocolate palette for sure. Since we were talking new stuff, let's continue on that note, because I did get myself the Natasha Mini Retro. This I bought before the larger sized Retro was announced. I got it in, it looks stunning. I still need to take pictures of it. I haven't used it yet, but it's here, and I'm gonna review it at some point before the end of the year, fingers crossed. But I will be showing it on my channel. But I did decide to buy the Mini Retro once I spotted this in real life. I had never seen this in store because Natasha Denona isn't stocked here. So when I was at Sephora and those sagey greens were just calling my name, and then I thought online this looked a lot more peach, but it's actually a little bit more pink leaning. So I do like it. However, if this was the inspiration for the larger Retro palette, I don't know how they got there, because they look nothing alike. Oh well. And now we need to step back in time just a little bit, because I got some more Nabla Cutie palettes. In fact, I didn't own all of the Nabla Cutie palettes, and because I like them so much, I decided to buy the two I didn't own yet. And then, right after I had done that purchase, they came out with 2 new ones. So I've got 4 to show you here. The ones that I didn't own yet, I did buy the nude palette. And this is what, this is, if you're looking for a good neutral color story and you don't want it to be overwhelming, like their side-by-side palette, which I personally find quite overwhelming, try this one. This is lovely. It's got good quality. This shade. Wow. That shade. Wow. This has some really stunning, interesting shades, but it's still very neutral, still very wearable for every day, and it works really well because it's not too warm toned, not too cool toned. So this is going to work on a range of colors, like skin tones and undertones, and you're just gonna love it. I can guarantee you that this is gonna work. What was a little less successful for me is the Metropolitan, sadly. Because the Metropolitan just, not quite really what I was looking for. I like this shade, I like these 2 shades, but these, like this bright coral, I don't think I'll ever reach for again. This has a blue flip, like why? And I don't like yellow tone gold. So for me, this is like a 50-50 split and in a 6 pan. So I understand why I initially skipped this one. I understand that now. But I do like the shades, like these 2 berry tone browns are really lovely. This is more of a plum actually. So it's got some good things going for it. It wasn't my favorite. I think I may have to play around with this like once or twice more to really get a good feel for it, but it wasn't my favorite. Whereas the newest ones, the Midnight and the Analog, those were instant loves. Especially this one. I put this in my full face of Nabla, so if you want to see me do a look with this live on camera, then you can see that. Again, you do get a bronze in here where I'm like, do we really need that? However, it does tone down the palette a little bit and makes it a bit more wearable for most people. But the blues, they're stunning. This teal shimmer, if you put it over the navy, magic. But this gives me all the shades I want. I just wish that if this had been like a blue that's in between these that is matte, I would have had my perfect blue color story. It's not perfect, but it's really, really lovely. Great quality. I was able to pull a stunning look out of this, and I used it again once or twice since because I forgot to take pictures the day I filmed that video. So I had to go back to it again and use it, and it was absolutely stunning. But the one that wowed me the most is the Analog, and this is why I feel the chocolate browns is already sort of like superfluous in my collection, because I feel this color story is actually quite similar. So do you see what I mean? That these are sort of almost the same thing. However, this is a little richer. I feel that this has even better quality than the Huda Beauty one. And where I don't love warm tones usually, I feel that these are just absolutely amazing. I think these are really stunning warm tones. These are the kind of warm tones that I can get down with. This shimmer is absolutely gorgeous. You get a gold, but it's not too yellow, which is lovely. And here we get that dark brown I was saying the Huda Beauty was kind of missing in the Wild Jaguar, the shade Dark Room. And then this is such a nice saturated, like sepia kind of color. I love it. And finally, the last palettes I want to show you in today's video and review for you are the 4. There are 2 more, but we can't get them in Europe. But these are the mini palettes that Essence released for their Fall Winter Collection 2021. Rather than doing a separate video on these, I decided to just put them in this video because I thought that, you know, I knew I was not going to like all of these. And actually, now that I've tried all of these, I had not seen my favorite coming in advance. Let's start with the warm toned one. We have Bronzed This Way. And this is pretty. It's very sort of like in line with the Huda Beauty Chocolate Browns, the Nabla Analog palette as well. It's got the same sort of colors, but then at a fraction of the price, because I believe these are like, what, €4? And this was lovely. Quality-wise, no qualms, but I would go for the Nabla over this any time of day because this is, it's okay, but it's just a little sheer. The other one that didn't really wow me, and I had kind of expected this, is the Ice Ice Baby palette. This ended up working better than I had expected, judging from the swatches. However, you get a blue palette and you only get 2 actual blue shadows that are pretty much identical in this palette, and that is my main gripe. I wish we got a blue shimmer, and I wish that in here we got a navy to really tie the whole thing together. Instead, we get 4 grays, which it worked. It kind of worked. It was okay. Based on the swatches, I thought this wasn't going to be great, but I felt that the quality was okay. Like it was very workable. I could work with this just fine. And these 2 shimmers in the middle ended up being actually quite lovely on the skin. So I didn't mind it as much as I thought I did, but I wish it just had a slightly different color story to make it more interesting. Now the one I used in my Essence video where I feature these for the first time is the I Like to Mauve It, which is their like plummy mauve shade. This shade is Life. However, I used it in that video in conjunction with a single that they launched as part of this new range as well. Not this range of eyeshadow palettes, but their fall winter collection. And I felt that in the end, that's the shade that made that look. And as I now use this palette again and just try to judge it on its own merit, I feel again it's not deep enough. I wish this came with a deeper plum. Does that make sense? So for me, it's very lovely, it's very neutral, it's very fair, but I felt that some of the shades, especially this shimmer, didn't have the vibrancy that I was expecting it to have. If I go for this palette again, I would definitely rope in this other like metallic-y shimmer shade that I bought as a single, because that really complements this palette so much more. And I think that instead of this plum, or maybe even this like satin kind of shade, because this is more of like a satin, I think that one of these should have been like a nice deep plum, and then this would have worked much, much better. Is it lovely? Is it pretty? Is it cool toned? Is it a good quality drugstore palette? For sure, if this is your vibe, I think you might really like it. However, I think that most people would have gotten more use out of this if it had one deeper shade. And that's why, surprisingly to me, when I first glanced at these, my favorite of the bunch is Dancing Green. It's a pretty green palette, and I actually said that this is what Huda Beauty should have done in some of her green palettes, because here we do get that dark green. So do you see that this just has a lot more dimension than any of the other palettes? So I feel that this, you get a khaki for a transition, then you get a deeper foresty green, which is lovely. The 3 shimmers in here work really well as well. And you get a satin, but it's got a bit of a golden undertone. So this is a perfect inner corner highlight, which is the only place really where I like satiny shimmers is my inner corner. So I feel in this palette, the shades and the textures that they have all mash up into one lovely palette. And I were to, if you want to get just one of these and you like a bit of green, or you want to try green eyeshadow, then I think that this is a really, really good one, because this is where Essence has really outdone itself and really taken their stuff to the next level. I thought this was the best one quality-wise, as well as color story-wise. I feel this is the most versatile one out of these 4 mini palettes. And there you have it. That's it. Those are all the eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to share with you today in this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make 3 new videos a week, so hope to soon with a new video on this channel. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.